Well, dear friends, dear congregation, I would invite you now to please turn your very prayerful attention to those words that I read to you in your hearing there in the book of Lamentations, the chapter 3. We arrive in this last section now, verse 40 to the verse 66 of the book of Lamentations, chapter 3. We come to this last little section in this chapter, and I remind you once again, it's made up of, particularly here, chapter 3, acrostic triplets. If you have the Hebrew before you, you would see as verse 1 begins, it begins with Aleph, and then verse 2, Aleph again, verse 3, Aleph, and then Beth, and following on in the Hebrew alphabet. So these are triplets that are before us, and we've been considering this chapter in its sections. Now remind us as well that the previous chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, but also chapter 4 and chapter 5, are made up of 22 verses, each of them also acrostic. But the unusual thing about chapter 3 is that it is comprised of these triplets. So we come now to this last section, but I'm going to do a little bit of overlap from where we picked up from last time, just to get the context. Well, we know when this is written. It's written sometime shortly after the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC, long after God had warned through the prophets, Jeremiah and Isaiah, and the other prophets, Hosea and so on, about God's impending judgment upon this nation that would not turn from its sin, this nation that had forsaken the commandments of God.